All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So it's been an interesting day for the Las Vegas Raiders. They start off the tampering period by officially signing or gonna sign Christian Wilkins, the best defense tackle available in free agency, to a 4-year contract. I'm all euphoric. I'm all ecstatic, thinking what's next, what's gonna come. And then we see that the Raiders are like really close to trading for quarterback Justin Fields after Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta and Baker Mayfield re-signs with the Buccaneers. And Russell Wilson yesterday announced that he's going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm all like wondering what's next. And then we see that the Raiders are signing quarterback Gardner Minshew to a 2-year, $25 million contract that includes $15 million fully guaranteed. Really interesting. If I had to gamble, if I had to put money on it, I would assume Gardner Minshew certainly beats out Aiden O'Connell, the 4th-year rookie QB last season, for the starting quarterback gig. I certainly don't hate it. I'm not euphoric about it. I don't necessarily love it. We've been talking about this for a little bit, the potential of Gardner Minshew coming to the Raiders. But at the same time, this pretty much, in my opinion, gets rid of the possibility or the potential of trading up to pick number 2, 3, or 4 to acquire a guy like Jayden Daniels. If you guys have been following this channel for a little bit or for the last month or so, I think Jayden Daniels should be the quarterback of the future. But at the same time, you're going to give up an arm and a leg to acquire that. You're going to have to give up a couple first-round picks. You're going to have to give up a quality starting role player. And so, yeah, I don't hate this. I feel a lot more comfortable and I feel a lot more confident with Gardner being the starting QB than Aiden next season, regardless of who wins the position. Gardner led the Indianapolis Colts to the playoffs last season. It's like an interesting bridge QB. So that's what we're going to talk about in tonight's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily videos. Let's try and get this video to 250 likes. It would mean the world to me. But yeah, like the thing about this is I feel like they're not going to trade up into the top 5, which I guess was kind of a stretch, was kind of a reach. There was probably like less than a 25% chance that Jayden Daniels was actually going to end up as a Raider. I do think the door is still open for a pick trade between like 7, 8, or 9 to acquire a guy like JJ McCarthy. Now, if the Raiders stand pat at pick number 13, and by the way, like with all this being said, I do think the Raiders will still draft a rookie quarterback. I don't think Aiden O'Connell showed me personally, and I don't think he showed the Raiders enough to move forward with him confidently. And I think that was pretty evident when Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco have both reiterated the fact that they want a competitive quarterback room. Next year's quarterback draft class maybe not is going to be as deep or as talented as it is this season, but like with that being said, like guys pop out of nowhere, guys have breakout seasons, so it's not the end of the world if the Raiders don't draft a QB. I would think what's more likely is them trading back or trading up to acquire, like a second round trade up to acquire a guy like Michael Penix Jr. and then seeing how those 3 battle it out in camp. Something tells me that this Gardner Minshew move kind of has them not moving on from Aiden O'Connell, but we have to remember that Dave Ziegler this time last season was the GM, and he drafted Aiden O'Connell. Josh McDaniels and these guys, the old regime, drafted Aiden O'Connell. So as much as he showed us 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 83.9 quarterback rating, 2,200 yards, for me personally, it wasn't enough to like fully give him the starting reins. And obviously the Raiders agreed with that with signing Gardner Minshew. The draft's going to be really interesting. Once again, free agency officially begins in about a day from now. Obviously, with all the quarterbacks being moved today and the just weak free agency class at the quarterback position, it's most likely starting quarterback going to be Gardner Minshew. But once again, don't count out a second round pick on a guy like Michael Penix. You never know. It really depends on what mock draft you see or what big board you see. I've seen JJ McCarthy go from pick number 4 to 13 with the Raiders to the second round. I've seen Michael Penix be a top 10 pick to being selected at 13 to a late first to a second round pick. Like the mock drafts on the big boards are going to completely change, but we're certainly not going to know this until draft day, in my opinion. unless Tom Telesco gets super aggressive. But yeah, I don't know, man. This move kind of has me feeling backup quarterbacks, by the way, are really important, like super important in the NFL. Um, but I'm super in. Like, I'm not indifferent about this because Gardner Minshew can play, dude. Like like technically made a Pro Bowl this past season, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 62.2 completion percentage. We've seen him in his first couple of years with the Jaguars, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks. But like at this point in his career, been around the league for 5 seasons now. He's been with Jacksonville. He's been with Philadelphia. He's been with Indianapolis. He's had 37 career starts, 15 and 22 career win-loss record. Like, we know what Gardner Minshew can do. We know what his floor is. We know what his ceiling is. I think he's like a borderline quarterback one, borderline starting quarterback. He certainly elevates the Las Vegas Raiders offense. And I think something's just telling me that they're still going to make a move. But once again, it's underwhelming in the sense of it looks like Jaden Daniels won't be the starting QB for the Raiders next season. But I wouldn't count out Bo Nix. I certainly wouldn't count out JJ McCarthy. I guess he technically can't count out Jaden Daniels. But I do like this veteran move. It's so much better than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's so much better than Brian Hoyer, like what the old regime did this time last season in free agency. But yeah, like there's just something in my gut, something in my head that's telling me this move is more of an Aiden O'Connell, not departure, but like, Aiden O'Connell not actually being quarterback one next season and potentially drafting a rookie QB and having Gardner be the starter for the first half of the season. And if things aren't looking great, then moving on to, whoever you draft at 13 or wherever you select in the first round, I guess, with, Michael Penix or Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy. So like, this is a solid move. I'd probably put it at like a B minus. The money doesn't really worry me. The guaranteed money doesn't worry me because once again, backup quarterbacks are severely underrated, I believe, in just the NFL world. But it is interesting. And this is, once again, just to go back to a couple of weeks ago, if you told me the Raiders were going to sign Gardner Minshew, I wouldn't be upset, but I'm not ecstatic about it. It's just, kind of like a nice move. I don't really know how else to put it. So, we'll talk about this in the upcoming days as free agency begins and the tampering period ends. At the end of the day, the Raiders did make another move in Christian Wilkins. They re-signed their center and Andre Drames. But yeah, this is a little bit more underwhelming, but still shouldn't be disregarded or discounted because he's certainly going to get the job done if his name is called in week 1. So that's it for tonight. Hit that like button, hit that sub up, but most importantly, guys, give me a grade rating on Gardner Minshew to the Raiders. That's it for me. Stay tuned for a ton of Raiders content this upcoming week, and we'll see you next.